Here's 5 talking points from Manchester United's 2-1 victory over Sheffield United in the Premier League yesterday. First and foremost, Onana confidence. Now look, he did have a good game yesterday. It hasn't been a great start to his Manchester United career. Let's not shy away from this whatsoever. But I think the player does have a very good level of confidence. You know, throughout the entirety of his career, you would have to say, he does come across as a very confident player. I like the way he's owned up a few times when he hasn't played well for Manchester United this season. He's come out and spoke to the media. You know, he hasn't tried to lay the blame on anybody else. But yesterday was a good game for him, especially in the first half. He pretty much kept us in the game in the first half. I have to say, he made 2 or 3 really good saves. You would probably say, you know, if you had better finishers up front for the likes of Sheffield United, that he probably would have been tested a lot more. But he done his job well. He made some good saves, kept us in the game in the first half, and it will be a really good confidence boost for him, you would have to say, going into more important games, albeit Manchester City next week. You know, you would expect he's going to have an awful lot more to do in a game like that. But it's no harm him, you know, having a game like he did yesterday. I think overall our defence was pretty solid, and Onana certainly contributed to that. Nothing you can really do about a goal scored from a penalty. You know, it was a mistake from a midfielder, but I do think this will give Onana the confidence boost probably that he needs, given the few mistakes that he's made. I still think he's going to be a good player for Manchester United. He just hasn't got off to a good start yet, but last night's game will certainly help him get to where he wants to be. Now, second up, Maguire resurgence. Now, look, he's played well for Manchester United in the games that he's played in the last few weeks. There's no denying that. And last night was probably the best performance that he's had in a Manchester United shirt in a long time. Now, you do also have to look at the opposition that you're playing against. Let's not get too carried away here. And we've mentioned on a couple of videos previous that, you know, if you take the likes of Martinez, whose basically position he's taking, Martinez last season had a really good season with 1 or 2 bad performances sprinkled into his season, whereas Maguire has had a pretty bad career at Manchester United with a few good games sprinkled in. Maguire's not the long-term answer for Manchester United at centre-back. Of course he isn't. And I do think once we get all of our defence back in full, he's not going to get into the team. He really isn't. If there was a opposition that you could play the likes of Evans and Maguire against, it is a Sheffield United, bottom of the table, you know, really struggling to score goals. But credit where credit is due. He gets criticised quite heavily by both United fans and opposition fans when he doesn't play well. And I don't think he does get the credit when he does actually have some good games. So I was really happy to see him get man of the match yesterday. I think he deserved it. And I hope he continues to play well for Manchester United, because, like we said, we are quite short at the back at the moment. Varane doesn't look like he's back to full fitness. Again, maybe he was being rested with more important games coming up midweek in the Champions League and then City next weekend. But I do think Maguire's going to have a role to play throughout the season. Let's hope he can continue to play well. But is he the long-term option? No, he's not. And I do think he'll move on, if not in January, definitely next summer. Now, third on the list, we're going to talk about Erik ten Hag's in-game management. And throughout the watch-along last night, especially when the substitutions were being made, we've seen in the chat, and I agreed with a lot of the people at the time, that the in-game management, maybe the substitutions weren't, you know, what is he doing? Is he bringing off Rasmus Højlund? He's bringing on Christian Eriksen, so on and so forth. I think the Rasmus Højlund substitution was probably a pre-planned one. You know, obviously there was talks during the week that, you know, his back injury that he had before he signed for Manchester United, he got a knee in the back against San Marino, and I think it was Erik ten Hag protecting him more than anything else. And the Christian Eriksen substitution last night, I think, was a really good one. I think we controlled the game an awful lot more once Eriksen was on the field. We do know Eriksen is not up to 90 minutes, and the physicality aspect of his game is pretty much nil. And against a team like Sheffield Wednesday, you know, he's probably just going to, you know, coast through a game. But I think last night when he came on, it gave us that kind of different dynamic that we needed. We needed to get our foot on the ball more. We created more. And I think it allowed Amrabat to play a lot better. I think Amrabat played a lot more composed, and he could focus on his own job a lot more once Eriksen came onto the field. So this whole kind of myth about Erik ten Hag's in-game management, while he has made mistakes, you know, absolutely, and all managers do, I think last night's game against Sheffield United, I think his substitutions were bang on the money. I think Anthony Martial played well when he came on as well. So I think he is getting maybe a little bit too much criticism in relation to his in-game management. I think it was spot on last night, absolutely. And it's going to have to be spot on throughout the remainder of the season because we've got a lot of catching up to do. Now, fourth on the list, lack of creativity. And we've seen it last year and we've mentioned it on multiple occasions that last season we didn't score enough goals. And we're starting this season out the same way. We're not scoring an awful lot. What helped us last season was the lack of goals we conceded, a rock-solid defence, and we've been leaky this season. Hence why, before last night's game, we were in 10th position. Our lack of creativity is a big worry for me, I have to say. We've got a striker up front in Rasmus Højlund who's very, very good, and he's working off of scraps. And I think if Bruno has a game where he doesn't create an awful lot, I think we're in trouble big time. He's the only real creator that we have within the team, and I think one of the big areas of concern are the wings. We've got Marcus Rashford playing on the left last night and Anthony playing on the right. Now, I thought Anthony played well in the first half. I thought he was better than Marcus Rashford, but he was the one that got substituted. Is he back to 90 minutes match fitness? That remains to be seen. But there's not much creativity coming from the wide areas. When you've got a player like Rasmus Højlund who's getting in the box, his movement is very good, and there's no balls coming into him from wide areas, it is a concern. Now, what do we do with that? Do you maybe use Mason Mount on the wing? I think it would be an option. I think that's why Erik ten Hag likes to play Bruno Fernandes on the wing when, cover needs be there. So, the lack of creativity is a concern. I always get reminded of when Robin Van Persie signed and the interview that came out, a couple of years after was, I think maybe it was Rio Ferdinand that was saying, after about 5 or 6 games, Van Persie was struggling to score goals. He wasn't getting, the supply that he required. And Alex Ferguson pulled everybody into the team and said, I bought him to win us the league. He will win us the league. If you do not give him the ball, you will not play. And I think we should be doing, it doesn't have to be as dramatic as that, but I do think that we do need to start looking for other options. And Rasmus Højlund will score goals if you give him the ball. I'm convinced of that. And I think maybe we should be tailoring our game a little bit more to allow him to thrive because he's getting into really good positions and his movement within the box is really good. It's a concern and we have to improve it quickly because we need to score goals. And we know that if you don't score goals, you don't win games, as Michael Owen once said. Now, fifth and last but not least is 6 points off the top. Manchester United, after last night's game, are only 6 points off the top of the table. Now, look, I'm not getting carried away. Absolutely, I'm not. But the one thing I do want to reiterate here is that all of this Erik ten Hag out nonsense that you see online, and the overreacting to the start of the season, we are only 6 points off the top of the table. Now, again, after, 9 games, I mean, if you stretch that 6 point gap out over a 38 game period, you're probably talking more like 30 points that you'd be missing out on, or 20 something points that you would be behind. So Manchester United do have to improve, but we are in a situation now where we're not too far adrift. I think we're only, is it 4 points off of top 4, maybe something like that. So, a lot still to be played for, and this block of fixtures before the next international break, is very important. Now, we do have Manchester City next week. If you could pick up some points in that game, it's going to be very, very difficult. It would be a really, really good boost for Manchester United going forward. But again, I mean, seeing that we're only 6 points off the top should be a good morale booster for these players and go, well, look at the start of the season that we've had. Can we get players back? Can we get our defence shored up with, we know Luke Shaw's not going to be back till December. Martinez is going to be the same. Wan-Bissaka is probably going to be around November time. So the more that these players come back, the more confidence it should bring into the team. And they'll go, well, look, we've had a really poor start by all accounts to the start of the season, but we're only 6 points off the top. So it's not all doom and gloom yet, and I do think there's an awful lot to play for this season, but we do have to improve our game, and we have to improve it quickly and start picking up points. But yeah, look guys, please do smash a like on the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Everything we've discussed here on the video, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit subscribe as well. We're on the road to 5,000 subscribers. We're trying to get to it before Christmas, so if you have a chance or you can do it, it costs nothing. Hit the subscribe button, helps out the channel an awful lot. But yeah, we will be back again tomorrow night for our usual 9 o'clock news show weekly from Monday to Friday, every weekday from 9 o'clock. Please tune in for that as well. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you soon. Take it easy.